days.
2 days.
It's what, same
Yep,
day?
we've got 2 days in a wake up.
Yeah, Friday. Fights Friday.
Same day weigh-ins, right? Friday morning you weigh in?
Yeah. Same day weigh-ins. Super duper early in the morning, like 10, 9.
Yeah, pretty early.
Yeah. I'm like
Yeah, how
6 pounds
you
out right now.
6 pounds out.
Yeah, already on point. We're ready.
Yeah, maybe just no carbs tomorrow. Like we were just talking about that when we were starting to log on. I was like, man, I guess like you don't really just do no sodium tonight at dinner and then no carbs Thursday. You're golden. Yeah, a little bit of cardio. You're fucking because you were 139 after a workout the other day, right?
No, I was actually 138.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, so it's like sweet.
It was funny. I heard Vic say, I was really glad that Vic was here because I heard him say something that you were saying as well for your last title fights about the how you're feeling like you're doing the right preparation, like you know what you're doing, right? And what is it that you said in each? Like you said something where like, oh, like I can feel the difference of like trying to train like a professional, right?
Yeah, training as a professional and treating it as a professional versus treating it as an amateur, and that'll make you want to win more because you put in the work to win versus if you half-ass things in the lead up and then you're really anxious, while you're warming up or in the back room, then you deserve to be because in the deep down in your mind that you don't deserve to feel fully confident because you're not fully prepared. So that's what I believe. But yeah.
Yeah. You were saying that you were like, oh, like I know I'm doing the right training. I know I'm doing the right thing. Like, what is that you said? I think we were talking about like, I was like, I don't give a fuck who's there. Like, it does matter who's in the audience. Like your buddies are there, but it's like your focus is on you. And like we were talking about, there's people that make that mistake of selling more tickets, doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you saying? Yeah.
The biggest thing, like it's even like 2 months ago when I was told that it was going to be in Durham, like home in our backyard. I was like, oh shit, like that's awesome. But at the same time, like the jitter set in because it's like, oh fuck, like all my students and like people are already like asking for ticket links like 2 months out. So then like you kind of like get in your head of like, oh my god, I gotta like impress my friends, impress my, but it's like no, like they're there to support me, and like fights fight. But like, regardless of what happens, like they're there for me. They're not there. They're not like how like fans are, where it's like, oh my god, he lost. He's a bum. Fuck him. Like, no, these are not fans. These are like real people in my life.
Yeah.
And I think when you get that like separation, because again, we're like, this is just amateur shit. It's not like they're like, oh my god, big, you're a bum. It's no, like they're literally there to support me and watch me. Like they want me to win. So it's kind of like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives that extra little bit like pep in the step when it comes to your training session. You know you have like that support. And it's like you're not having to go out of your way to like try and promote the fight. Like people see the work you're doing. Yeah. And that's why they're getting tickets. Yeah. Like there's a difference between like people going like, hey, come get my ticket for my fight. Like you want to come see what I do? Like people are like you're training like a professional. People are like, I can't wait to see Vic because I see how he fucking trains. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like that makes me so happy. You're not trying to go like door to door to sell tickets. You're not going like, hey, I need to make $5 on a ticket. You're like, I need to win a fucking belt. Like, I need to win this fight. Like I need to get better. Yeah, like it's really cool shit.
And it's like I don't even care about like if they're paying me with tickets or whatever. It's like, dude, like
you didn't even care about that. Yeah, you've been so dialed in about your training. Like, it was so funny to watch Sam. Sam was watching him shadow boxing. He was like, who the fuck? What the fuck? Like Vic looks so dangerous. Like fuck this. And then I was like, yeah, Sam, you're gonna hold pass for me. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like you can see Sam going like, I love you, Vic, but what the fuck, man? And like Vic was like just ripping it. And Sam was like, I love you, dog, but ow.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely get Sam some. What's the Sam? He likes donuts.
Probably, man.
Sugar free though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably
get into something.
I remember before one of your last fights that you had or maybe like one of your first couple fights, but you were shadow boxing and it looked very dangerous, looked very intense. Like you were actually fighting. I was like, okay, yeah, he's definitely super dialed in. So is that how you feel like this fight, Cam Webb?
Oh yeah, very dialed in. And like how it is, like, like that. Right, I'm sure like you possibly like experienced something like the same thing or like that sort of same sort of realm. Like that first couple fights is like super jitters, and like sometimes like the nerves settle in longer than you need to, and you start entertaining those nerves. Whereas nowadays, like this fight camp, every time a nerve came in or like a negative thought, it's like, nah, dude, like I'm doing the right thing. Like my opponent's probably like shitting bricks. You know, so it's like
He's
cool.
probably cutting more weight than he needs to.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's a good thing that you feel some nerves. I think it's bad if you don't feel any nerves. I learned that earlier
Yeah.
this year. If you don't feel any nerves, you feel totally relaxed before a fight, you're gonna lose that edge where you have
Hmm.
fear and those nerves that keeps you on point during the fight. So now
Yep.
another thing is that I also learned that I don't know if you felt this before too, but I've gone into fights feeling amazing and feeling prepared, and I've gone into fights feeling like, damn, maybe I could have done this differently or this differently. But both situations, I've come out with wins. And so now before I go into a fight, I don't place a lot of emphasis on how I feel. I just know that regardless of how I feel, I can perform. So I'm not like, fuck, I don't
Right.
feel ready. Like I'm nervous because I don't feel ready. Or I feel really prepared, so I feel good because I feel really prepared. I'm just ready to fight regardless of how I feel.
Yep. Facts. And yeah, like you just gotta show up that day and like
That and like what you're doing there, like that comes with like when you start having more fights, like you just know yourself better. You're
Yeah.
like, well, fuck, this is how I feel regardless. I'm about to get into a fight. Let me just go fucking fight now. And like you're like that's when it becomes like everything is so much more mental at that point where it's like nothing's ever perfect. I've talked to Talia and I've talked to other
Yeah.
people about like how many perfect days you have to like potentially be like a UFC world champion. You
Mhm.
know, and on that path, there's still some really rough days, like a lot of days of like doubt. But the people that can show up no matter what, like maybe it's been a dog shit training camp. Maybe you've been sick for the past 2 weeks. You show up and you're like, well, fuck it, it's game day. And like we're doing it.
Yep.
And you've definitely learned that you have that, like regardless. Like, but you train so hard because you still want to improve, you still want to get better.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I
Friday
think
night game day.
what you're gonna say?
Friday night game day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a
Like,
little
I
bit of a
think
lag this time.
Yeah. I think my first couple of fights, definitely my first couple of fights, I placed a lot of emphasis on having to feel ready. Like, okay, I need to make sure I feel ready. And so I trained super hard. And then after that first couple group of fights, I was like, okay, I need to get that same feeling because I won when I felt that. And then sometimes I didn't feel that way and went out and still won. But then it's like, you don't want to psych yourself out if you do or don't feel a certain way, regardless of the crowd. But I think that comes with experience because then you're going to prove to yourself, oh, I felt different this time in the warm up room than last time, but both times I was able to win. So in your next experience, it doesn't matter if you feel this way or this way, you're still going to be able to perform. I think that comes with
Yep.
experience.
Yeah.
Experience is the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you've heard me talk about it too, about like you'll see some fights get lost in the locker room.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
people
You
are so
definitely
used
say
to
that.
having like people are like so used to having everything be perfect, then something's going a little bit wrong in the locker room, and it's like that breaks their mental focus. Then after the fight, they'll be like, "Well, this happened during warm up," and it's like, man, like I've seen people not warm up and go out there and fight. Like it happens.
Yeah.
Like everyone has their own method. You can't focus on shit being perfect.
Yep.
Like there's that thing where like perfection's kind of a fucking lie.
It's a major lie.
Like yeah, like everything I kind of just look at, I was like, man, you gotta kind of like you hear me talk about like we all got to figure it out together as we go.
Yep.
Like what I have that works with a niche is the same way I'm going to do stuff with Vic.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
the stuff that you guys do with me wouldn't work for each other. But like that's the fun part about it, where it's like seeing like how do you each all function, you fucking psychopaths?
We just gotta figure it out.
Yeah,
If
and
you guys are
perfect is
fighters, I'm
different.
just the guy that sits back and going, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" All right, we're here to party. Like,
Hell yeah, love the party.
Yeah, and perfect is different for every person. So like, perfect might be different for Vic than it is for me. You don't even know. You haven't even fought enough times. I don't even feel like I've fought enough times to
Yep.
know
yeah.
what a perfect fight camp is. What even is a perfect fight camp? Because
You
maybe
know,
I,
you're amateurs. Like there is no fight
yeah,
camp. There's just like different like the training is like always constant. Like even when you get pro, like you'll see some more people focus on like recovery towards like the end of their career. But as amateurs, you're always training. Like you might just have like a small window where you modify because you have like a little bit of info about the fight coming up. You know, that's
Mhm.
kind of why I like seeing people fight in Muay Thai tournaments. I'm just like, you just kind of got to do everything.
Yeah.
Like, and you get to see like problems come to the surface you haven't seen before. Like, it's been kind of cool with Vic's fight where we have like some recent footage. Like we know the guy a little bit. Like other times, like you don't get that.
Yep.
Like
Adrian was one of those.
yeah,
Just
like
showing up like-
yeah, you just kind of show up and it's like shit. I didn't know he was so tall. Like
Yep.
you find you can't find shit on some people. So like you have to be prepared that like whatever you did is gonna work. And no matter like what warm up you have, what happens the week of, like what you do, like what if you want to win that fight, you will go out there and win that fucking fight. Like is what happens.
Yep.
That's super
Anyways,
cool.
I gotta go. My
All right, dude.
client's waiting on
Yeah,
me. Anish, good seeing you, brother.
Yeah, see you, Vic.
Good to see you
Good
posting
stuff,
again
bro.
too. Like you fell off for a little bit. I was worried. I was like, I haven't seen Anish posted. Like,
Yeah.
where he at?
Yeah, I've been on and off with my Instagram posts, but yeah, back on it. So
Hell yeah, brother.
see you or talk to you again, bro. Good luck. And is there gonna be a
Yes,
live
sir.
stream? Gonna be a live stream?
I don't know.
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so. I think
Yeah.
SFC is a really, really smaller promotion.
Yeah,
It's a small
definitely.
story.
Yeah, so I don't think it's gonna be a live whatever. But we'll probably have like the replay footage like somewhere. And
Yeah, I'll send you the video on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, dude.
Look forward to it.
Have a great day. Well, night. Yeah, it's nighttime
It's
over
nighttime
there.
over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Enjoy Thailand.
Vic.
Oh, I miss it so much. I miss it so much.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll make a trip out.
All right,
All
see
right,
you,
later,
bro.
bud. I'll see you.
Peace, Vic. Peace, Vic. Yeah, because that actually just reminded me of EK's fights where like he took that fight on 1 week notice, and then maybe an amateur is gonna think, oh wow, 1 week notice, that isn't as prepared as I should be for a fight, and then he won it, and then another fight where he had a
Yeah.
full fight camp, he lost it. So it's like, what is perfect? There is no perfect. It's just
Yeah, there is no
not letting
perfect.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah, there is kind of just like you start doing work later, Vic. You start doing work, you keep showing up to the fights, and then like little bits start to show like what does work. And you keep holding on to those really, really good bits. And then even at the end of like whatever the career may be, like there's nothing perfect. Like all these little pieces aren't the same. So like what they're fitting into is not some perfect structure. It's a little crooked here and there. Like, but it's what works for you, man. It's like it's like footwork.
Mm-hmm.
No two people's footwork are the exact same, man. It's like fucking snowflakes. They say no two snowflakes are the same. There's too many snowflakes to look at. I don't care. But like there's enough like people's like footwork to look at where it's like, oh shit, like everything is so similar, but what he's doing is still drastically different than what he's doing. Even though there's like very similar mechanical things in there.
Yeah, it's true. How'd training Vic for this fight go?
Really good. We really did like a lot of focus on actually like him trying to pull back, working in the wrong areas. Like Vic has a motor in him that just wants to always go, 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 go. And I'm like, that is awesome. And like, you'll hear me talk about it. Like sometimes training a person is like teaching that person to pull back to actually do more because he was doing so much of certain things that was becoming detrimental. So we really spent like the first month like recovering and just redirecting his training habits. And then now it's been another month of him just like applying like we watched Osvaldo's last fight when he fought Brent Williams. It was a 5-round fight. And like I really liked what I saw of like how he fights. I like the matchup even more after getting to like look at some footage. And I'm just going like, okay, like we kind of have a small game plan, but we're more or less like still gearing around like, hey, you are Vic. We're gonna make Vic do what Vic does. And like here's how we focus on that. So just redirecting little things about like, hey, focus on your defense this way. Like otherwise you're still high output, you're still like all volume. He's learning that as long as he stays behind a constant like output pace, he just stays in control of the dance. And like that's what we're looking at. Like, how do we stay tight? And it's not perfect. It's like, how do we just stay a step ahead the whole time? And it's been really good to see him like look at it as like solving a problem instead of trying to like work through a problem.
Yeah, that's true. I know Sean O'Malley thinks of his fights like chess matches. Like it's like a sport.
Yeah.
Who's better at, striking, at footwork, at defense. It's not like who's tougher, who's who's got more dog in them. It's more of a technical thing and touching up those things on fight camp.
Yeah, that like, teaching people like, hey, how do we use your natural attributes to pull this person into a fight they'd be comfortable with, but really we're pulling them in, like into our clinch, into our kick fight, like how do we pull people into the wrong type of fight? How do we make this person get comfortable and then make them uncomfortable? And like he's really starting to understand that because a 5-round fight, like you have time to like fight. Like that's a long time to be fighting. You get to it's a whole different type of like input and output in between rounds when you have 5 rounds. Do you want that fight over as fast as possible? Yeah, but you also get to plan ahead for like setting certain like traps early on through good habits. And he's really noticed that. He's like, oh, I don't need to go out and just throw bombs at this guy. And I'm like, No, that's how you get stopped in the third. And he
Yeah,
went, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. What are some things that you saw that were happening in fight camp that you don't think are super important that you coming back on in the first couple months?
For him, it was like excessive road work,
Mm,
like running to the point where he couldn't throw kicks. Like his knees were hurt, his ankles were bugging him. And I was like, dude, you don't need to run 5 miles every day. Like, stop doing that so hard. He would, it's even like sometimes like how hard and how long he'd hit the bag for. And he would do certain things back to back to back. Like he would do a 5 mile run, he would do a crazy lifting circuit, then he'd go hit the bag really, really fucking hard. And I'm like, dude, you just ran your engine in the red for like 3 hours, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't do that.
yeah,
So yeah, it was good to see him really focus on like, oh yeah, like technique and application, like with the hard work is the way to go. If you're doing too much hard work, you're losing sometimes like the technique and application.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
it's been a little while since his last fight. 'Cause he had that shoulder injury when he was supposed to be getting ready for doing MMA. And
Yep.
so like he's been having to get mindful of like, oh yeah, how do I properly take care of my body so I can train hard? Like, so
Yeah.
I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that video you sent me. The dude said that doing harder conditioning or more like road work and things of that nature for conditioning is the cop out for not being able to last, 5 rounds. It's more about being
Yeah.
efficient and spending your time and your energy doing the right things.
Yeah. Like you see how the guys run in Thailand, they kind of just like jog a bit. They're like trotting. It's kind of like a shakeout for them more than anything.
Yeah, yeah. The running here is not hard at all. It's like a light jog. It's not even like some of the guys will just do one lap round, which is like 1 to 1.5 miles. But it's like they'll get a sweat going, they'll get warmed up, and then from there they'll go to training. And hitting pads is where they'll really go hard. Like the sparring is
Yeah.
it's very light. The bag work, it's very light. It's not super hard. They're just, refining their
I
technique.
mean,
And
even their bag work is light. They just use it for like refining and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. Just refining and just
Yeah, that's
getting the movements in.
man. I tell people that all the time with bags. Like now that we have some bags up here, I get to show people like, yeah, this is how you get to like sharpen your technique instead of just like throw the wrong technique really hard and feel really good about it. Like you'll see that a ton.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, man. Ty Cook, that fucking kid threw some beautiful body kicks, and I was like, "What was that?" And he was like, "You told me to train slow on the bag," and I went, "Oh shit, yeah, that was awesome."
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. When COVID hit, I had a heavy bag in my garage. And so when I wasn't training with John Shell, I would go and hit the heavy bag, but I would go slow. I'd make sure my technique was good because I was just starting. And I noticed like throughout the weeks that it got way smoother, way easier. And then when I was coming in to train with you at more square and then eventually knuckle up, those bag work rounds translated really well into sparring.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have some bag classes here because I know it's just going to improve everyone's technique and conditioning. Like, you can still do some partner drills in the bag and get some good like habits from it, but if there's one thing to get from the bag, it is balance and precision and fine tuning, man. There's so many right ways to use the bag that can be a benefit. A lot of people just sit there and try to hit the bag, and then I'm like, man, if you're going to go into a fight doing that, you're going to get hit a lot. Like, don't be the punching bag. Hey guys, hey.
Yeah. That's
Sorry,
true. There's a time and a place
they're
for
just
it.
being little monsters.
What is that? Chance and courage?
Yeah, they love having all like this new open space. They just run laps back and forth, and then they sleep for a couple hours. So,
Yeah, I saw that video you posted. That was hilarious of them going back and
dude, yeah, they just go at it during class and they go to sleep.
yeah, that's sick. Um, yeah, another thing about the bag is last week we were doing conditioning, like harder bag rounds and bag work and like for longer periods of time. And I realized that it can be a detriment to go too hard on the bag because they had us doing teeps for like 5 minutes and like 3 rounds, like teep, push kick over and over again.
Yeah.
And then the next day I woke up and I could barely like lift my leg because my hips were so sore from doing that over and over again.
Yeah, there is like I see that a lot where a lot of people will like just do the wrong thing. Like not the wrong thing, but like they throw good technique at the bag, but they ended up like overexerting everything else on their body.
Yeah.
So it then becomes a detriment. Like that's a big thing. Like I remember that I used to see from people like hitting the bags and stuff. Like they would just be wailing the bag as hard as they could. And they're getting all these shoulder issues and elbow issues. And I'm like, yeah, you can't always just do it like that. You should really do that for just like a couple minutes at the end. It's like when I talk to you guys about sparring, we really kind of turn it up on Saturdays. And
Yeah.
even still, I feel like, some people say we have like a really good sparring room. I feel like it's fairly like the output is high, the intensity is high, but like the power is like very moderated.
Yeah. Is that the way you want it, or do you wish that sometimes we'd turn it up more?
Oh, I mean, like I wish people would try to like turn it up a little bit quicker when I say we're going into sparring now. So I know
Yeah.
I make people like ramp up into sparring,
Mhm.
but it's like when I tell people like, hey, it's sparring, I'm like that's when like I'll see like people go for a round and I'm like, you all need to start like hitting each other. And they're like, oh, okay, got it. And it's like I don't want people throwing like a big concussive bomb at each other, but it's like, hey, like start fucking hitting him. That is the whole point of this round. Like if he's not covering up, like get on him. And people go, oh right. And it usually takes like 2 or 3 rounds into the 12 rounds of harder sparring for people to really get in gear. So I've been pushing people like, hey, you know what? Like if you want to keep it casual, like spar on the mat. If you're in the ring, you're fucking sparring.
Yeah, that's true. Because I remember right before we left, you would say like, "Hey, it's time to turn it up now." And I never heard you say that before, like before the last couple of months before I left. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's a good point." It's like Saturdays are not like the rest of the week. There needs to be a difference on
Yeah.
the harder rounds on Saturday because you're looking to get something.
Yeah.
It's not the same as touch sparring.
Yeah, you'll usually hear me like you hear me break down the same way where I'm like, I'll tell people like people know that if they go like when we used to put up the ropes in the corner of the old place, they would know like, oh, that's the corner that we go hard in. But
Mhm.
I'm also like outside the ring space, like everyone should be still turning the pace up a bit. Like it should be a bit more of that, like, hey, fuck you, I got to do this to get better. Like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That reminds me of that time I went to Castle in there preparing for the tournament, and it was like way different than tech sparring. It's like, yeah, that's like what's needed to get those rounds in before a tournament
yeah,
or before a fight.
he was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, that was sparring. He was like, that sucked. And I'm like, yeah, did you have fun? He was like, kind of, but not really.
Yeah, that's what you do in the ring. You have like the harder rounds in the ring now, and then like kind of like
Yeah,
light.
I mean, and like that's what I tell people. It's just like, hey, if it's like because we have a bit more room for activities in here now, it's definitely like, hey, if you're going in the ring with someone, like you guys know, like you're turning it the fuck up. But we've also only had a couple Saturdays, and they've been pretty like light here actually. But then there's also like, hey, there's also the 2 corners off to the side. Like if you're in the corners, like you better turn it up.
Yeah. Do you set up the string in the corners?
No. I got a whole ass boxing ring now. I don't got to put no string in the corners no more.
Yeah. Is that pink? Is that pink like turf that I see right behind you?
Yeah, hell yeah, it is.
I saw that in the video. I was like, is that turf or is that like a mat? Damn, that's sick.
No, yeah, that's pink turf and our pink neon sign. We got some more pink turf over there. Where we have like the Aerodyne bike and the stationary bike, and we're gonna get a upright rower for over there too.
Oh, nice. So a little conditioning area.
Yeah, and Eric Wilbur just started his strength conditioning classes here on Monday, and he's doing another one today.
Hell yeah. Is there a squat rack? Like all the stuff from the old place?
Yeah, we still have the squat rack, the same one from the last spot. We have that one. I think that's from Rogue or Titan.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Sweet.
Yeah. So what's new? What else is going on out there? It's kind of cool to hear you talk about even the bag work was light. I was like, oh no, that is really good to hear.
Yeah, the bag work is light for the most part. So on sparring days, like full sparring days, we have circuit training after that where they'll have us do a lot of reps on the bag for conditioning. But there's never a time where they're telling us to hit the bag hard. The bag work is either that circuit training where they're telling us, all right, jump knees, and they'll set a timer for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or whatever they do. And that's where it's like, okay, I feel my muscles burning, the lactic acid is building up, and that's more of like a mental thing. But other than
Yeah.
that, we're hitting the bags on our own, and no one's really hitting the bags hard at all. The only time that people are throwing really hard is when we're hitting pads with the trainer. And those are 3 rounds, and they'll usually like be like 2 to 3 minute rounds. And if you have a fight coming up, they'll be like a little bit longer. but they don't really time the rounds. They'll just hold the pads. They'll tell you to hit hard if you're not hitting hard. And if you have a fight coming up, they'll really like push the pace and they'll hit back. For the first time last week, actually, I hit pads and it was very slow. He wasn't holding pads. He just had his palms out, and he was correcting my technique, like my form, like really getting into detail, showing me how to throw like, a spear knee
Nice.
and
Yeah.
make sure I turn my hips over on my kicks. Like all the little things that maybe get left behind when you're just trying to rip pads. He really like took a step back on the third round that he was holding for me and made sure I was doing everything right, which was pretty cool because that's never happened before.
No, that just like that's just how like the trainers like trainers will give it back to you if they see you're doing the right work. Like
Yeah.
if they know you're always doing the right thing, they work with you. Like there's a lot of foreigners that go over there and just do enough to like for social media, where since they know that you're there to get better and to fight and you're doing all this extra work, you're in with the team, they're gonna treat you like a teammate or a team member and be like, oh, here, let me help you with this as well, instead of just let you work out.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And then when they have you getting ready for a fight, like I saw two Thais, one Thai guy holding pads for another Thai guy, and he was like sweeping the shit out of him and like hitting him back and putting the pressure on him, just hitting pads, making it seem like a real fight. So when there is a fight coming up, that's when they train hard. Like, and it's all pad work. It's not bag work or sparring. That's all really light stuff. But as far as me, I've been doing good. Monday I wanted to go train and I tweaked my back somehow. I'm not sure how, maybe like sleeping or something. So I feel like the sharp
Yeah.
pain in my back. So since then, I've just been kind of taking it lighter, just doing like runs and not really going in to spar or anything. Because I was doing boxing sparring, and I noticed my back was just fucked up. So I was like, all right,
Huh.
I think that's
Might
how I
just be some of your
slept.
hydration issues. Maybe like
Oh yeah,
lay off the
that was
running a
it.
little bit too, man.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I didn't run yesterday or today. So but like yeah, Monday, I went on a run Sunday, a light run Sunday, and then Monday is when I mess up my back in the morning. So tomorrow I'm gonna go hit the chiropractor. I was just gonna let it rest. I thought maybe it was like a 1, 2 day thing, but nah, I still feel it now. And so tomorrow I'm gonna go hit a chiropractor and see how that does. And the massage probably because
Nice.
massages here are like super cheap, like couple bucks, and they'll give you an hour-long massage.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Have you tried like yeah, they might have you do some like inversion or something like that, man. That's always helped my back out a ton, just hanging upside down from stuff.
Yeah, and I also when I was training on Monday, I noticed my back was kind of tweaking. I was hanging on the pull-up bar, and that
Yeah.
felt good. But yeah, so I'm gonna see what I can do to fix that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Do you have an have your trainers talked to you anymore about any fights on the future or the horizon or anything?
Well, they told me about June 7th, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do June 7th. So then I'm just gonna train the rest of this month, and then all of June, and I just want to get into like really, really good shape. And then my next fight, like July, like mid to end July. So I take some time off from fighting because I've been pretty active this year. I take a month, 2 months off, and just train, and then fight again after that.
No,
So
I think that'll be really good for you because then you'll be able to knock out like a couple fights back to back to back. You'll probably be able to go fight like twice if you keep doing what you're doing. You'll be able to fight like twice in a month pretty steadily.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I fought twice in April, and I felt pretty good in that second fight for the most part. But even though it was on short notice. But yeah, if I can get out of a fight like in mid-July and feel really good, probably fight again end of July, and then yeah, August, September, October, like that span, I'll definitely try to fight like every 3 weeks at least. Get a good
Nice.
amount of fights in before I come back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, who else is
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
is there any new fights coming
So
up this
we
summer?
got Vic with the title fight on Friday, and we're getting some guys on the upcoming Fight for It card July 27th.
That's when it's
So yeah, it's going to Charlotte, and we're going to get Sam on that one, trying to get EK on that one. And
nice.
then for a wild card, we're getting Ty Cook on there.
Really.
Yeah, like
Uh,
the kid's turning 18 soon. He's been really dedicated to showing up. He's been making a lot of improvements. And I told him, I was like, look, if the only thing I have to like work on with you over the next like month and a half, no, it's like 2 months, is you not sticking your arms out like fucking Frankenstein, then this is gonna be a really easy fight to take. Like especially with what he did in like that last semi MMA, I was like, damn, with ground and pound, like that little competition he did like would have been over in the first. Like he's a mean little fucker. Like I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So with wrestlers, I will let wrestlers kind of hop into competitions if I see like they're cool with like being coached on the feet and I'm seeing improvements and I'm seeing them create good habits. And I'm like, oh yeah, this wrestler should fight. Otherwise, they kind of throw themselves into punches, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited to get Ty into some fights because he still got his whole senior year of high school ahead of him. So I think it'll be good to see him really like grow up this next year, like put some fights in front of his goals, start getting him like a job around the gym. He's working as an umpire. He's about to become a dad. So it'll be good to see him like doing grown up shit instead of like high school shit. Like if you have a kid young and you're doing kid shit when you're having a kid, like you're gonna be a kid. Like so it'll be really good to see him. I don't know. I think it's gonna be the right challenge for him, like becoming a dad at the same time. Is just getting him into a fight and getting that like focus and commitment going.
Yeah, that's true. He gives me the type of vibe that he'll step up to being a dad. Like that's not something he would take lightly, and he'd take on the responsibility of that, and then do all the adult things. Damn, do a fight. That's crazy. So what do you think? Do you think wrestling is the best base to start to get into MMA with, or what do you think about that?
Like to a degree, yeah. Really, I mean, doing everything from the get go is the best way to do it.
Mhm.
But if you're a young kid and you're able to like train at a competitive wrestling program called your school, fucking do it. Like, still take like he does. Like Ty's also been going to jiu-jitsu, does striking. Like you did the same thing. Like you started jiu-jitsu and striking in high school. So yeah, like I tell people, like the best base for MMA is start doing everything. But you do see the advantage of guys that become really good technical wrestlers early on. The guys that end up becoming wrestling specialists, like they dominate the sport, but they have a very, very hard career. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Like they will work really hard at getting hit in the face
Yeah.
just to secure a takedown. Like they have the guys that stay on that high level wrestling route. Like Bo Nickel's a bit of the exception, but Bo Nickel's pretty fucking special, like as a human being. But you've seen the big thing throughout time. The guys that have wrestled at like world class or Olympic levels, they have a very hard work ethic. They're very hard to beat, but they also absorb more strikes than anybody else. And
Mhm.
like as a striking coach, I also don't want people absorbing strikes.
Yeah.
Like you will get hit. I want strikes deflected. I don't want you like eating punches to get a takedown. Will it have to happen every now and then? Yeah. Should you build a career off that? No. And you also see like those guys, like they tend to run their engine in the red like a little bit too much. So I can see stuff becomes like it deteriorates pretty quick. So when you get someone that's young that maybe started wrestling like middle school and throughout high school, that's still a good like what 7 year base of pure wrestling. And
Yeah.
if you're building good like striking habits on top of that and jiu-jitsu habits, then yeah, you've built like a really well-rounded kid from Dagestan.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And not just depending on that wrestling. 'Cause I remember I watched back Todd semi MMA and he was able to take that guy down. Pretty sure the
Like
first
at
and
will.
second round, like I
Yeah.
will, yeah, basically I
Yeah.
will. But then that's where
Hit
it
a
gets
fucking fireman's carry on a grown man. And I was like, oh shit, he can hit a fireman's carry in a competition. Like, I'm cool with this kid competing. Like the way
yeah,
I saw him step in that fight, I was like, okay, okay. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm very cool
yeah,
with you fighting.
yeah, that'll be really good. Do you know any of the matchups for Sam, EK, or Ty?
No, I just sent the info into Marcelo on Sunday.
Nice. I'm guessing EK is doing kickboxing, not MMA.
Yeah, he's gonna keep doing kickboxing. Yeah, I don't think he wants to do MMA. He hates that ground shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Facts. Nice, dude. That'll be a good start coming up. And then so that's it for the near future for fights. Anything after that?
I know Hunter's been thinking about WKAs.
That's in
I
August, right?
think those are coming up
National.
in August. So I know he's been thinking about that, which I'm okay with. We are going to be starting. We're going to be holding a WKA scrimmage event out of here in August, and
Oh,
that's going to help me lead into like holding smokers out of here. I think that I already talked to you about that, about like the future plan for like events and shit like that here.
yeah. I didn't know about the scrimmage. I just saw Jason up
So the
from
same thing
Level
that he
Up.
did
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Level Up, that WKA scrimmage is the exact same thing.
yeah, yeah. I think you mentioned it. What is it like a PKB basically, like similar type vibe?
So they like to hold them inside gyms that do have a ring. And Brian Crenshaw, he's located right in Richmond, so it's very easy for him to get up and down the East Coast. He comes in, he brings in his officials, and they run people through like quick 10-minute training sessions of like what the do's and don'ts are for each rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have people doing international, unified, and modified. Then they'll be like, okay, who wants to do some matches? So it's like a training session and a smoker, but they keep it very technical. Like they hand out report cards at the end of it to say like, hey, if you want to fight in this rule class, you should work on this. Like they'll have referees, but they don't really they don't do a winner, but they have like officials that are taking notes on what they should be doing.
Yeah, I
And
remember
I'm
you
just
telling
like,
me that. Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, we need to be doing that. Like I didn't like homework in high school. I never fucking did it. But I was like, that's the kind of homework I like to have around.
Oh yeah, that's super cool. Because then you don't just get your own coach's point of view and perspective. You get other people who've never seen you compete before telling you what you can work on.
Yeah, and not just that, the people that will be like that are in charge of like how the fights are scored and run, like you get their feedback directly. It's
Yeah.
not just figure it out. Like oh no, it's a bit more set, like what's going on. So I really like that. And Brian Crenshaw also he puts on WKA sanctioned smokers, which I'll be using to help like build up like a new crop of guys out of here. Like I was talking to Dwayne, I told Dwayne I want him to do one of those out of here. And like these younger guys, I was like, all right, neat. Like I don't push people to compete, but I do want to give people opportunities that might make them want to think about competing, Like smokers will let you know, like, should I fight or should I not fight? Or it becomes like I want to fight now. And I really want to just keep making opportunities like that for some of these young kids coming in.
Yeah, that's true. I think the smokers that knuckle up really helped me a lot. I did like 3 or 4 of those before I even ever did a PKB. So that helped a
Yeah, they
lot.
helped you big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So in the last like what 2 years, we haven't had any smokers in North Carolina that people have been going to or that anyone's been hosting. So this, I think that would
Yeah.
be.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely kind of want to bring that back. And I mean, and you saw the pool that I had of like when I was bringing people in. I mean, yeah, it's quarantine, like there was nothing going on and people were looking for stuff to do. But I still feel like I'll definitely get homies coming out from like 2 hours in each direction for some of these smokers that we've been putting on, man. I feel pretty good about that. And I also know that like I want to push it because we have the space to do something really fucking cool here, man. Like
Yeah.
from like already just like looking around and just being like, okay, how can we lay this out? Like, how many chairs can we put in here? Like, what do I need to move around? I'm like, oh, damn, we could put a fun event on in here, man. Like, I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Yeah. Not only that, you have like one of the dopest facilities I've ever seen. So that's super sick. You get to
Yeah.
show it off after just opening it, like all the cool stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been really nice to walk in here and just go like, man, this place is dope as fuck, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every time I see a video, I'm just like, wow, man, that is a beautiful looking facility.
Yeah, it was the plan all along, my dude. The plan all along.
Yeah. Is everything set up? Have you finished like setting the whole place up finally or
I
not
don't
yet?
know. I mean, we're man, there's always gears in motion. So right now, we're doing little stuff like just tightening up the space. I think we're gonna get like a giant, like custom made like rug for the front when you walk in to kind of help cover up the floor a bit more, just like make it a bit more professional. Um, sorry about that, asthma. We're mounting some TVs up in here to have like not news, not that stupid media, but just to have like information going. I almost went on a John Shell rant for a second. Man, did you see that? Like, I became like a John Shell werewolf for a second. Uh, but I no, I'm gonna put some TVs up just when we have like fights playing. We can run like timers off of them and stuff like that. Had someone reach out that wants to move their chiropractor and PT office in here. So we'll probably be renovating we are going to be renovating this one room into that. Just, tightening some stuff up. Got to get a custom like wall pad made to cover the thermostat. So we just have like a couple little small things. And
Yeah.
now our next big thing is that in June, we're rolling out our new class schedule.
Oh yeah, I just saw a post about that. So how is that set up?
So really the biggest additions are going to be we've added a new evening jiu-jitsu class. We've added a new evening MMA class. I'm adding 2 more evening Muay Thai classes. which are way more focused on like ring control and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be more advanced for people that want to compete or people that have trained at least like a year or so.
Yeah.
Like if people want to get into competition, it's good for them to hop into, but it's way more of like, hey, we're doing everything like tight inside the ring. Like I did at Knuckle Up. Let's see, what else are we adding? I'm adding like those morning classes for that too. We've added the noon BJJ. We're adding youth BJJ classes Monday and Wednesday, which I'm happy about.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited to try and get more kids in here for that. And then starting this Saturday, our new MMA coach, Evan Arredondo, will be running class on Saturdays.
Wow. Dang. So since you started this new place, because I remember before it opened, you were talking about how it's gonna be like a lot more work. Is it what you expected? Like, are you there all day right now? Or is it not gonna be like that until you get the new schedule going?
Well, no, I mean the new schedule means like definitely more classes, but I mean like, my schedule is still a lot of the same. I've definitely been making it a point to still be in here earlier. The toughest thing for me the past couple of years was that like committing to being up earlier. But now like I'm just in bed way earlier so I can be in here way earlier because I'll be starting up some 8 a.m. Bag classes in July. So like yeah, like I'm still in here just as like much, actually like a lot more now, but I run home midday, eat, like come back.
Yeah.
Nothing too already like out of the normal. This is just it's way nicer to be here because
Yeah.
there's just way more room. Like I'm not, it's not as packed in, the laundromat next door and the grooming place, like people are always standing out front and I'm always like this is a bit more like, oh, this is like my little like cave. So it's very comfy here. So it's definitely easier to be here. It's a bit more spread out. People aren't like on top of each other. Pretty nice. Yeah.
Wow, that's sick. That is freaking sick. I have a couple questions here that I have.
Yeah. Shoot.
Out. Let me see. They're just like more like fun questions. Let me find this one that I wanted to ask. If you could have any martial artist like that's either alive, doesn't train anymore, does train, come visit the gym, who would it be?
Wow. Any martial artist. Huh. I don't know. Like part of me really wants to say like John Wayne Parr.
Who is that?
Damn, you don't know who John Wayne Parr is?
No.
God damn, kid. He's like the most famous like Muay Thai fighter out of Australia. So he has a documentary out on YouTube called Blessed by Venom. I'll send you the link for it.
Yeah.
He's just a dude from Australia. He has probably one of the like ugliest but most effective fighting styles. Like he was fighting as recently up until like a year or two ago. Like he fought in ONE FC recently. It wasn't like the best showings, but like he is just his attitude and his personality and his work ethic are very admirable. And he's one of those guys where like even when he loses, like just nothing fucking breaks the guy. And there's something about John Wayne Parr that I see him and I'm like, man, what a good like human being. And that's definitely someone I would just like to be able to meet. And yeah, like I think I'd be like, yeah, I'd like to have him at my gym. Like that'd be neat. I don't know why. Like John Wayne Parr is definitely someone I've always looked up to, definitely a role model. And like one of my favorite humans in fighting is John Wayne Parr. Yeah, probably him. Like I know some people be like, oh, what about Bruce Lee? What about this? What about that? And I'm like, nah, John Wayne Parr. I'd like to get that dude out here. He's pretty cool. He's an Australian.
That's a sick answer. I was not expecting that at all. Like,
Yeah,
that's like
sorry
probably
about that.
no, that's sick. Like I like that a
Guys,
lot. It's not someone like super mainstream.
yeah, I mean, he got like a bit more mainstream, like in the past couple years, but he got a lot of attention. There was a show out called The Contender, and then it was for boxing. They did a season called The Contender Asia, and it was about Muay Thai. And he was one of the competitors on there, and the world got to see a lot of his like personality. I already knew who he was at that time. What's up, dude? How you been?
Nice, dude. All right, the next one. What is something you wish your students would talk to you more about that like they don't?
Man, I feel like we have like a pretty good open like network here. Like really it's just more about like people here will talk to us about like anything and everything. but it's more about like, the timing of it. Like if you feel like something could be going bad, like go ahead and let's talk about it now. Like don't let it suddenly, like I don't want to find out something's on fire. Like
Yeah.
when it wasn't even actually smoldering in the first place. We just let it get out of hand. I feel like the communication here and like we talk about stuff, it's like very, we always talk about diet. We always like keep check on each other. But if someone has like something in their personal life going on, or they're feeling a certain way about stuff, like, yeah, like be okay, like bringing that to the light pretty quick. Don't let it get too bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, the next one is when I say like mention a success story from one of your students, like since you've opened hometown, who's like the first person that comes to mind and why?
Success stories. Okay, I mean, like, so my thing with like what I consider success stories, like I know as a coach, like I'm always gonna be creating like really good martial artists and competitors. I really gotta say, yeah, James Weinman.
I had a feeling you were gonna say James.
Yeah,
That's when I thought of
I
that
love
coaching
that dude.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. What is
yeah,
the
man. Like,
person? Yeah,
what were you saying? Like, what is it that like makes me pick James?
yeah. Like, I was gonna say, what is being a successful student like mean to you? Like, why? Yeah, why'd you pick James?
Well, it's just seeing it's their like the evolution of them as a human being.
Mm,
And
yeah.
it's like, martial arts gets to take you to some crazy places internally that you've never gone to before. And you get to figure shit out differently. Like, just like when I first met James, he was about to go down like a really, really shitty path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was not like, I'm not saying it was the point of no return, but like it possibly could have wound up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky. Like I got to meet him before he really went off in this bad direction he could have gone in. I met him at a point where he was really trying to figure himself out. And very fortunately, like, I don't have all the answers, but I got to expose him to like some truths, like through himself, like martial arts will make you teach yourself the answers of yourself that you need to hear.
Yeah.
And he really changed his mindset on stuff, like learned how to let go of some stuff, learned how to relax a bit. And then like I got to see him like become a father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like the direction that he was possibly going to go in, he probably wouldn't be a dad, you know? Like, or if he was a dad, he'd probably be a bad dad. But like I see James as nothing but like I met him when he was like trying to figure out how to become a man. And I've now gotten to see James Weinman become a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, next one. How do you approach teaching kids differently than teaching adults?
I don't teach kids. I like to work with kids one on one, man. And honestly, I kind of work with them the same as adults.
Mm-hmm.
Like teenagers is different. Like teenagers, I break my foot off in their ass,
Yeah.
like because they're about to become adults. Adults, I'll tell them how it is. But like even like the same thing, like with kids, like I'll still tell them, like, man, like, hey, open your foot, do this, relax, listen. I think I'm just a bit more like hee hee ha ha, like nice to the little kids.
Yeah.
Unless the little kid's an asshole, then I'm an asshole right back. But no, man, I treat like adults and kids and teenagers like all the same. I can definitely be a bit harder on teenagers because they need it.
Uh,
But like kids, like I'm very like passive and easygoing. And if like the kids want to stop and like, but even like with the adults, they want to like just stop and talk about something. I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? Like, talk to me about it. Like the kids might talk about dinosaurs, the adults might talk about like childhood trauma. So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
True.
So
Nice.
so sometimes just like the vocabulary is different, but like the coaching is the exact same. Like I got this kid Aiden that I'm training. He's like maybe 8 or 9. And I'm like, oh, this kid could be an assassin. Like he listens so well. Like I'll see him shadow boxing. He gets like this really deep shell. I look off in the corner. He's hitting the bag in his free time. I'm like, who the fuck is this assassin? Like, so like a lot of kids are a lot like adults. They just need to get like some challenges put in front of them and they start tackling them. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much I talk to adults and kids the same. Doesn't
Okay.
change much.
Sweet. Sweet. What is your biggest insecurity as a coach?
Oh fuck. Man, like and I think it's something that like a lot, and this is something that I had an easy time like working with because I've talked to a lot of my friends that are coaches where it's like, am I actually good at this? Like, and it's that same thing of like, it's like do I know what the fuck I'm talking about? Like, what the fuck am I doing? you know, and then like all my friends that are high level coaches, like, oh, dude, we have those days all the time. And I'm like, what? You've just created like 18 world champions. And they're like, yeah, there's still guys that beat me every year. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, do I know what I'm doing? And I'm like, okay, fair. So it's that like, it's like I'm always insecure about that. Like, how good am I really? Like, how good am I going to be at this? Like, the future is uncertain. I'm just like, man, fuck. I just have to keep committing to being a better coach every day, and no matter where I get to, like, I'm going to be okay with that. It's like my big, and it's like even like running the business. I'm like, do I know what the fuck I'm talking about? But then I look around and I'm like, I guess I fucking do. Like when it comes to growing a business, like as a coach, it's kind of like that. I think like some people call it imposter syndrome, and like people get that in fighting too. Like when it came to fighting, there was no imposter syndrome. Like it was like, I am not a fighter. I am this dude who is just doing this to try and figure his shit out. But like with coaching, I think because I can give myself like an imposter syndrome is why I'm like, I need to keep getting better at this. Like this is what I need to do. Because I'll get like compliments from people. I'm like, do I deserve that compliment? Like, what the fuck? Like, and then it's like, no, I deserve that compliment. Like, I earned that compliment. Like, I earned what we have. And like, because there's those days where it sits in. It's like, damn, like, should I do this? Like, am I good at this? Like, should I quit, hire someone else? Like, should I be a chef? Like, fuck, should I drive buses? Like, what do I do? You know, like, but no, like, I still like focus on like, no, like, I am a coach. I am a good coach. I'm always getting better. And that's what makes me a good coach. That I'm very honest about like what I'm not good at, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like focusing on like, and I know like my insecurities get better when I create like a better team around me.
Yeah.
Like knowing that we have a good jiu-jitsu coach, we have a wrestling coach, we have someone going to help with MMA, having a strength and conditioning coach, like really helps me like fill in the gaps that I know I have like as a coach.
That's a good one. Nice. All right,
Yeah.
last question. Looking back on your journey, what's the number one piece of advice you have for an aspiring gym owner?
Don't start too soon. Like what I mean by that is like don't open your business too soon. Like I know a lot of guys, and I've seen it like just time and time again, where a lot of people open a gym without building a program first, you know? And when you look at like the in quotation marks, like success of hometown martial arts over just the past, like July is going to make it 2 years of us opening keys to our first location, you know? So in like less than 2 years time, went from like the back of a CrossFit gym to here. But like I tell people, like we navigated those waters so well because of my time being behind the desk and seeing other gyms grow and fail. So that's why I tell people like, don't open a gym too soon. Like you'll know when it's time to open a gym. And you know, like the number one mistake I see gym owners do is like they admit that they opened a gym too soon. Like my buddy Johnny Buck in Asheville, like his gym is flourishing. Like it's insane how great his gym is doing now. But for the first decade of him owning a gym, or like, are you good? You getting robbed?
What? There's like this sound on my roof. I don't even know what it is. Yeah. No, I think
the way you looked, I was like,
yeah, no, it sounded like someone was trying to open my door. So I looked at my door and then it like went across my whole roof. I don't know what that was, but it sounded like
it's a ghost, man.
Yeah, freaking maybe it was like a rat in the vents or something. I don't know.
Probably shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he talks about all the time that like his first foray into like owning a gym, like the first decade, he was like, why the fuck am I doing this? And he didn't go anywhere with it. But then like he got in touch with some other business owners and he really got the shit figured out. And now he has like a flourishing business. But yeah, like I remember I was offered a gym in my 20s and I went, no, absolutely not. I should not be doing that. Just because I know like I needed to do a lot more dumb shit before I opened a gym.
Yeah, that makes sense. So build a program first, like what, like at another gym, like be like an apprentice.
Yeah, like make sure that you have like a product. You know, you could have like the best coaching out there. Like you could be the world's best coach, but if you can't sell it, if you can't build a business off of it, then you're not going to be able to teach that the way you want. You know, you might be stuck working at someone else's gym.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn, like you have to know yourself well. Like I know that like any person that walks in the door, I can teach them how to punch and kick. It won't be the same journey for everyone, but like I know my product like really, really well. Like I love to coach. I know that I'm here every day. I know the business behind it. And I know that I can get anyone to do it just about. some coaches can maybe work with like one or two people. If you're only worth like one or two people, I hope those people become world champions, because there's no way you'll make like a living off of that being a business. And I've seen that happen where like people open a gym and they just focus on a couple fighters and not everyone that walks in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet, dude. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Well, it's what, 9 o'clock there? 9:03?
Yeah, it is 9:03. I gotta get this class started.
Nice. All right, bro. It's good chopping it up. And let's run it
All right.
back.
You too, man.
All right, peace.
All right. I'll keep seeing what you're up to via Instagram. Later, dude.